ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker for the Mastermind Summit is a person with multidisciplinary artist and a professional speaker. He taps the creative potential of his audiences by creating experiences on stage using technology. For over 20 years, he has evolved with the latest creative technology in radio to television to feature films to animation, creating promotional and music videos, documentaries, corporate films, and branded digital content. His signature event involves getting an entire audience to make a movie or art in 3 hours. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help me welcome Harish Kumar.
Disturbing, right? This glitch and noise has become an intrinsic part of our lives. So much more that they form the core of all our decisions. Why so much of noise in our lives? Why don't we take a moment to relax? Imagine yourself on the sea beach. Listen to the sound of the waves and soak in the smell of brine. Just imagine yourself having a wonderful time on the beach. Can you feel the wave? I want you to soak in and feel the wave within you. There's a lot more why we need to feel the waves. Soak in, imagine, relax, and feel the waves within you. It will take you to a different world. Don't open your eyes. Keep yourself in that very mood and keep yourself immersed in the beach, hearing to the sound of the waves. Do you feel relaxed right now? Do you feel transported to a different world altogether? I want you to feel that. I want you to feel that as every part of your body. Feel the wave coming closer and then going back. Because this wave is not going anywhere now. One wave which made you relax, and then there's this other wave which has taken our lives completely. They've taken over our lives in a way that we never imagined. They're floating all over us. Just imagine how your life was a couple of years ago before this COVID wave happened. We were doing talks, we were doing our businesses, everything in a more physical world. But then this wave happened. It took us into a different planet. It made us think. It made us alter our waves. We quickly learnt mechanisms, tools, methodologies that will transform the way we live. And that's exactly what I want you to imagine, because I'm going to take you down a memory lane to the year 2000. I was doing my engineering and I was doing a lot of coding. Coding seemed to be the base of our lives, where in engineering, that's precisely what you get up doing. But I soon realized that I wasn't cut out to do this coding all throughout my life. I realized, what am I going to do if I don't do this coding? And like the screen says, all I could see was ones and zeros all around me. Luckily, my mark sheets weren't all zeros, but luckily, I wasn't really making much progress there. And I'm saying this because you come from a life, and I come from a background in southern India, where if you've studied, you've done your 12th standard, you get into an engineering college, all you're expected is do your engineering, get a good job, and go off to the US and secure your life. Well, as I was trying to battle this scenario, and I'm sure there are lots of people who have battled such scenarios at that stage of their lives, where they've thought they need to do something different, try and connect and do something different. Well, I was lucky. I went to my parents and said, look here, I can't be doing this thing for the rest of my life. And thankfully for me, my parents said, if that doesn't make you happy, don't do it. And that's one mantra or one little thing that I picked up very early in my life. Do things that make you happy. A lot of difference happens when you start believing in that. I hit upon something called as virtual reality soon when I was coming out. And I said, wow, this is one piece of interesting stuff that I've found. And in my college, I went and spoke that. I said, can I do a project that's on virtual reality? Most of my people in the college laughed because they were all busy coding. And in those years, all you had to do was do COBOL or Java and get back in the bandwagon. Not many people would talk about virtual reality, but that was exciting for me. And I said, I will take this up as my final year college project. And soon, I was able to convince a couple of my friends to say, hey, let's do a project on virtual reality. And you know what happened? That project went out to be the best project of the year. We were awarded the best project. And I was also given the best outgoing student. From nowhere, from not doing engineering to doing what I loved or what I was happy about, I could turn out the whole scenario towards making that. And that traveled with me through the rest for the next couple of years, I would say more than a decade, where I moved into the creative sphere, making ad films, documentaries, corporate films, music videos. And because I felt the creative side of life was interesting. And I was doing that, and I was really happy doing that, doing work across a multitude of sectors. Every little sector that I wanted to tap in and experiment, I got the opportunity to do that. But then there was one question constantly lingering. But I kept continuing on that journey because that's what I thought was the creative journey in the media field. And I kept continuing on that and doing more and more work. Work happened, business happened, monies were coming in. So I said, wow, this is probably what a creative life is supposed to be, doing creative work all around. And I'm sure more so people in the audience who relate to the creative field also have rebelled at some point of or so to go and do something that they love. But then I realized this. This whole thing of deviating from the norm and going out and trying to do something else, which is like the mistake that you're doing, and the world projects that. Remember that. If you are doing something creative and trying to be different, it's a high-risk, high-return game. The odds are quite against you. But then you're willing to take that risk and take that step forward and try and do something different. And soon you will realize the doors which are locked, the password that you're searching for your life, slowly starts to emerge. You might be battling different thoughts where people will tell you you're making a mistake. I don't see you making the success in your life. You know what? The families and the surrounding would come and tell. You know what? If you had taken up a regular job, you would have done a regular by this time, you'd have earned sufficient money, you would have had sufficient balance, and you would have gone successfully in your life. So the question is, do you want to be like everyone? Or do like everything is being different? Whatever be the case, who is different in such a scenario? Are you willing to be the chosen one? Who is willing to put his neck forward and take the risk and say, I will take this different path. I don't know what holds for me here from here onwards, but I am willing to take this risk. And like what you would say and see behind me, quite often you would see these words, access denied. There's a warning. That's how the world throws things back to you when you're trying to cut the norm and try to be something different. Don't you agree? If that's the pattern that you've seen. But then I found this magical symbol in that process. Can anybody tell what's this symbol all about? Anybody from the audience who can say what this is? What symbol is this? Great. There we have a man who recognized that symbol very well. It's the play. What have we done in this process of our lives, of growing up, that we have forgotten to play? This whole journey of being creative and trying to be different is all about play. What we did as kids. We would fall down, get up, dust ourselves, and go back and play again. But then what has happened? As we grew up in our lives, we got so conditioned that we said, I'm so-and-so, I'm structured like this, I'm meant to be like this, and this is what I do. And you forgot the very basic principle of play. And that's what is killing most of the organizations today. The higher the organization, the bigger the organization, the higher the position that you reach, you think you need to be more serious. You need to be more accountable. But then you realize and you forget this very basic principle. I too realized in this whole creative journey of over 15, 16 years that I realized I was missing play. I found my love in terms of art and colors. I immersed myself with colors and paints, and I said, I'm going to do this just to relax and have some fun. I said, let me bring back some play, because this was something that was pure. Though I was in the creative journey, I felt I was quite often doing work as a transaction. I was doing work because somebody told me what to do, I was delivering. Whereas art happened, it was more pure. And I'm sure there are lots of authors in the room who would agree. Writing, again, is a pure form. You write from your heart and then you put it out to the world. So is something to do with art. And I felt something more magical happening there. When I put my hands in those colors, when I put my hands with those dirty colored water and started splashing them on the canvases, I felt a rush of blood in me that was completely different. I would feel that I was high on some kind of a substance that I would say, what's happening? I would be immersed in that journey for hours together, not eating food, not looking at my phone, or even talking to anybody else. But I would just come back extremely refreshed. This, because this was so pure and this magic of hands started happening. There is this magic in your palms that when you take it and dip the paint and you touch it on the canvas, you would see that running all the way till your brains. And that's the power of what you do, whether it's taking up a pen and writing or taking up that brush and doing something. I did so, And I started doing something with kids. I started doing workshops. I started doing activities. And soon it started ending up with corporate workshops where we were taking them out in different places, making them do art. And you would not believe, they were top CEOs and MDs of organizations who have never touched a canvas and who the organizers said they would never paint. I had a tough time taking the brush and paint off their hands and asking them to get back to the room. Such is the power of these little things that people can go crazy. Crazy is probably a stretched out word, but what really happens is the magic of hands there. It activates the brain cells. It tells you you can get dirty. You can get yourselves immersed in that, and you need to play. And that turns all the magic all around. And this has to become a little daily part of our lives. And I urge all of you to start thinking this in that perspective. Because when you're doing that, magic really happens. And when you take this to the next level from this, what are you learning in this whole exercise? Is it just one man, one person's happiness or no? No. There were lessons to learn from this. There were amazing acts of collaboration happening. When people got their hands dirty, their vulnerability came out and they shed that thing out of them. And once that vulnerability happened, where you are okay to get out and start messing around, you felt liberated. And this taught me multiple lessons and which I could take it back in my life. From art, it turned out into design. I learned these tricks and then I started designing spaces. I would design large buildings, experience centers, and all such things, collaborating with a lot of people. I designed these places not being an artist, not being an architect, not being an interior designer of any sort. How was I able to do this? Well, I took this out from my side, where I said, hey, I love doing this, but I don't know how to do this. Tell me, how can I join hands with you and do something like this? I love this way of telling stories, and I would like to transform this into a physical space. I was amazed at the amount of people who were getting excited that, wow, somebody likes telling stories like this. Let's bring this and we will join hands with you and try and do something different. I said, wow, so opportunities exist. When you open hands and you tell and go out. This, again, I'm taking back to the kid reference. What you would do there. As a kid, when you're playing around with friends, when you want to play or you want to go around with someone, what do you say? Hey, I would like to play with you, but I don't know. Can I join with you and play? And soon you will realize that people are coming together and playing with you. And that's exactly the kind of play I took it to a different dimension. And soon, all these amazing things were happening for me with no such background. So the first and primary thing that I'm trying to bring back here is one, you need to believe in that once you think that you're ready to play, your vulnerability tag is out. People see that, they believe in you, and they say that, okay, he doesn't know this, but he's willing to accept and he's willing to collaborate. And like that, I extended this out into workshops for corporates. I would take them out to a different city and I say, come, let's make a movie together. Like these were thought to be a very close-knit group. But I would tell them, let's make a movie together. Hundreds of you are there, but let's join hands and create a movie together. People would actually collaborate and make movies. And today, it turns out to be one of my signature activities where companies and even companies hire me to do these kinds of activities. This never existed. I never thought of doing such workshops before. I would be happy making my ad film or a corporate film and go back home. I said, hey, I love doing this. Why don't I take it to the world and make them also enjoy this process? And they were people who were willing to come out and enjoy that process of having fun, play, and go back home with a message. And that exactly is what I want all of you to think right now. How much of time are you dedicating towards doing all this? How much of time are you spending to do activities in your organization, in your team, that you say that we are having a lot of fun, we are playing, yet we are going out there and doing our business? And friends, look at the screen here. These are all hardcore financial bankers from across the globe who are sitting and doing this. They're number crunchers. But they are out there making a movie. People of extreme worlds are willing to do this. What is stopping us? What is stopping us is this weird mesh that we've got ourselves into. You see those wonderful dots there? We are not connecting. Let me take, the reason I was taking you through this journey was I wanted to throw these dots that I never saw in the first 10, 15 years of my life. In my engineering college, I wanted to break away and do something in virtual reality. And then from there, I moved into advertising and then filmmaking, then doing animation. It seemed like pretty crazy to the world, right? This guy cannot stick to one job. Or can't he do one thing at a time? Why is he jumping between multiple things? Even I didn't know. Probably one trigger for me was what my mom said. If that thing makes you happy, just go and do it. And I took that as a mantra for my life, and I did. But now when I look back and introspect and I see these as dots in the constellation around me. These are all those tiny little dots which are floating around, which I could take in club and put it together. That little thing that I did then in terms of making movies, I could take that to a corporate and do workshops today. What I love doing is design and art. Today I can take that to a physical space. And once I take it to a gallery, I take that film and art and bundle it together to create a new experience for people. It's just that I was failing to connect these dots that were just around me. I was always getting stuck to one dot or the other dot there. So I'm telling to all of you, look around you, travel back in your life, see what are all the dots, the magical dots that has happened in your life. Take a note of them. I'm sure you have these magical dots in your life. It's just that we are not seeing it very clearly. Take them down, put it on a piece of paper and see if you can connect a thread, or is there a pattern that you have in your life? Find your pattern. What is your pattern that has defined you or is shaping you? We never see that as a pattern. We always see what is in hand and take it as a task. So I'm going to ask all of you to make 3 promises to me today. These 3 promises that can take you a long way. Ready? Is the first word. Give time every week to play. With your team, with your family, and everyone. Make a designated time every week to play. Where you're not really judging, you're just having a good time. Play, I don't mean like physical play, it could be any sort of play. Get steady. Use the power of your hands. We so got stuck in your, I don't mean mobile phones, but chuck the mobile phones and get your hands and do something. Be it art, be it pottery, be it writing, do something. It's magical. This power goes right from the tip of your fingers all the way to your brain and activates you. And it's very powerful. And then play. Great things really happen in your life when you least expect it. You're not expecting this. If you sit with an agenda to find where it is, you don't get it. But when you start looking around, you know what these dots are, and you're playing, and you're in that mode, you are going to find and do great things in your life. And that's the promise I want from all of you. Can you join together and say, play out of the box? Together with me, guys. Play out of the box. Superb. That is the message that I want all of you to take and imbibe within you to play all your life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My coordinates are out there and would love to connect with you on social media. Once again, this is Harish from OUTdeBOX. Thank you and have a great day.